recap. What is this, week 8? We're in week 8 of the NFL season. Got some upsets this week. Things are taking shape. You're going to see a ramble go up tomorrow that I filmed before I filmed this. So there's going to be things in there. It's funny, I completely screwed up. I start talking about football, acting as though you're going to be getting a preview to the recap, even though it's coming after I address it. Yankees are down 3-0 now. Judge continues to be putrid in the playoffs. The guy is terrible. This has been his pretty much his whole career outside of a series or two. The Yankees get they got a couple of runs in the ninth. It's too little too late with them. Dodgers getting clutch. It's not even the Dodgers are necessarily ripping it up incredibly, but they're definitely getting much better pitching. And they're getting better hits, like Freeman's ripping it up and stuff like that. So they probably will sweep the way it's going. The way the Yankees, they needed to win that game 1, and when they lost that one in the 10th, I think that was the end of that series, regardless of how many games it is. But anyway, quick little baseball update. That's more up to date than the one I'm going to tell you tomorrow, because the Yankees are only down 2-0. Although I mentioned the series might be over by the time that video is up. But anyway, Thursday night game. Rams beat the Vikings 30-20 in LA. There was a really terrible call in this game, like really bad. It changed a possibility of what could have happened, because it was ended up being a safety. Darnold, it was a just blatant face mask. Not saying the guy did it on purpose, but it was so obvious. Refs didn't see it. Even the dude who did it was like, and then he started joking after the game. He's like, oh yeah, it was the noise, just kidding around. But he was like, oh my god, I grabbed this face mask. Refs are idiots, right? And then of course people were joking, if it was Mahomes, they would have given him a touchdown. Badly missed call that gave them a safety and essentially just iced the game. Now all this did was, if they called that a 15-yarder, I think they would have been on the 20 or something like that, the Vikings, with some time left, chance to tie the game. They would have needed a 2-point conversion as well. So it ruined their chance at possibly getting down the field. It didn't affect the game in terms of, this cost them the game completely, because they still would have to do some stuff. Still a terrible call that you gotta hit it. The refs are all over the place, and they have been for years in every sport. But Darnold, 240, 2 touchdowns. He sacked 3 times. I guess a pretty good game. They don't run the ball too well. 22 for 64 as a team. Jones had 58. Rams are 3-4. The Vikings are now 5-2 after being 5-0. Justin Jefferson 8 for $115. Oliver has a TD receiving. Sherfield Senior has a receiving TD as well. They have no picks. They get no sacks as well. Stafford, like I said, he's not sacked at all. 4 touchdowns, a pick, 279 yards. So he has a really nice game. Williams 97 yards rushing. Puka, did you say Puka, his first name? I could be saying that completely wrong, but he's back again. I don't know if he was back last week. 206 yards receiving. Cup and Robinson. Well, no, I'm sorry. Cup has a receiving touchdown. Robinson has 2 receiving touchdowns. Williams has a receiving touchdown. 1.5 sacks from Verse. So Rams are starting to make a little bit of a move to 3-4 here. And that division's up for grabs. That division's 4-4-4, 4-4-4, 4-4-4, 3-4 now. So, that 3-4 looks a lot better when your division leader's only 4-4. On to the Sunday games. Eagles beat up on the Bengals 37-17. The Bengals doing well in this game, and then the Eagles went nuts in the second half, had 27 points. Hurts a touchdown, no picks. He isn't sacked at all. He's 16-20. 108 yards for Barkley. Barkley gets, I don't know if Hurts stole vultured, as they say in fantasy, because Hurts had 3 rushing TDs, so Barkley gets none. So for fantasy owners, you're like, what the hell, dude? Unless you have some Hurts. Devonta Smith has the receiving TD and leads leads the way with 85 yards. A.J. Brown has 84 yards receiving. They had 1 sack. Gardner Johnson had a pick. Jake Elliott, 3 of 3 field goals. Burrow, a touchdown, a pick. He sacked at 1 time. 234 yards. They barely run the ball. Only 58 yards on 20 carries. Chase Brown has a rushing TD. I can't say this guy's last name. Number 88 has 73 yards receiving. Jamar Chase has a receiving TD. The number 88 loses a fumble as well. Like I said, they get no sacks. So they're 3-5 now. They kind of needed this win. Because they're going to have to realistically... What do they have? 9 games left. They're going to have to realistically go 10-7 is probably going to get you in the playoffs. You're going to have to go 7-2. It's a tall order. I don't know what it's with the last year too. The Bengals started slow and they missed the playoffs, but they started to storm back. But too little, too late, right? This is the upset of the week here. The Browns beat the Ravens 29-24 in Cleveland. Browns 2-6. Ravens are 5-3. Lamar Jackson, 289 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. He sacked 3 times. Derrick Henry only has 73 yards rushing, only on 11 carries, so the average was still there. He does have a rushing TD. Jackson rushes for another 46. Zay Flowers, 115 yards receiving. Aguilar and Andrews have the receiving TDs. James Winston in his first start. What's it? No way. Did he start at all at the beginning of the season? Was Watson hurt in the beginning of the season as well? I can't remember. Maybe not. Maybe that was last year. Winston, though, has a nice game. 3 TDs, no picks, 334 yards. He's sacked 2 times. Chubb, 52 yards rushing. Tillman, 99 yards receiving, and 2 TDs. He had the game-winning TD. I can never say his guy's last name. Number 85 has a receiving TD as well. And good old Jerry Jeudy, the former Bronco, 5 for 79. Winston loses a fumble. They get 3 sacks from 3 different players. 3 of 3 for Hopkins in the field goal. So it's a bad loss for the Ravens because the Steelers are ripping it up. So you got to kind of keep pace with them. I'd say the Steelers are a little bit of a surprise, but not really because, in my opinion, I mean, Russell Wilson, I think, starting now. But Fields is a solid QB, in my opinion, and obviously Wilson still is. Denver just got rid of him after he had a solid year with them last year just because Sean Payton just didn't want him. That's the reason he's not on the team. Payton, yeah, I've talked about this a million times. These coaches, when they have a quarterback they want or a quarterback they don't like, you're gone no matter the cost. Like, it doesn't matter. They're fucking weird. But I can't complain at the moment. Denver is doing fairly well. Lions beat up on the Titans 52-14. They're 6-1. The Titans are 1-6. I think this game was 14-14 before they start pouring it on. Rudolph for the Titans, 266 yards, a TD, 2 picks. Pollard, 94 yards rushing. Mason Rudolph rushes for a TD. Calvin Ridley, 10 catches, 143 yards receiving. Westbrook, something as receiving TD. Ridley uses a fumble. Number 85 loses a fumble. 2 sacks for Arden Key. They were getting pressure on Goff early in this game, and then it just went south. Goff only has 85 yards passing on 12 of 15 for 3 TDs. He is sacked 4 times. Montgomery, the running back, throws for a TD, 1 of 1, 3 yards, and a passing TD. Hooker gets in there, 2 of 3, 6 yards. I assume he came in the 4th. Gibbs, 127 yards rushing on 11 carries and a TD. Montgomery adds a rushing TD. Laporta has a receiving TD. Raymond has a receiving TD. St. Brown and Wright each have receiving TDs. 2 picks from Joseph and Nowoski. So Lions 6-1 now. They lost. Did they lose their first game of the season, or like their second? I don't know. They're playing great though. They're a good team. They're a good team. They're going to be there. They're going to realistically, well, it's still a tight division, but I wouldn't be surprised if 3 of those teams make the playoffs. Cardinals beat the Dolphins 28-27 in Miami to go to 4-4. Dolphins 2-5. They got a field goal to end the game, I believe. The Cardinals. Murray 2 TDs, no picks, 307 yards passing, no sacks. 53 yards rushing and a TD for Connor. 124 yards receiving for McBride to lead the way. Harrison Jr. 111 yards receiving and a TD. Wilson has a receiving TD. No picks, they have a sack. 57-yard field goal for the kicker. Tua comes back from the concussion. 234 yards of TD and no picks. He's sacked once. Mustard has 2 rushing TDs. I can't ever say this guy's name right. Number 28, he's 97 yards rushing on 10 carries. He also has a receiving TD. Number 28, Tyreek Hill, 72 yards receiving. Tua fumbles 3 times but doesn't lose any of them. They just lose a tight one at the end, which they can't afford to do because they're 2-5 now. The Bills are taking this division probably realistically 4 or 5 games. Because outside of the Bills, the rest of the teams are sucking right now. And speaking of another upset, I consider this an upset because the Patriots are not good, but the Patriots beat the Jets 25-22. It's not the upset that the Browns over the Ravens were, because the Jets are not that good either, clearly. They're 2-6. They've lost 5 in a row. This was in New England. It's not Foxborough Stadium anymore, right? It's Gillette. It used to be Foxborough, right? Is it still? I mean, Rodgers isn't terrible here. 233 yards, 2 TDs, no picks. He sacked once. 80 yards rushing for Brees Hall. Allen has a rushing TD. Conklin has the receiving TD. So does Gibson has a receiving TD. Devontae Adams, 454. Garrett Wilson, 113 yards receiving, leads the way. They have 2 sacks as a team. Zerline misses a field goal, and he missed an extra point in this game. Apparently, according to Jet fans. I don't know. Outside of the Bronco-Jet game, I haven't really been paying attention to the shows. He's been botching a lot of field goals this year, costing him games, so it's not good. Drake May started but got hurt. For the Pats, Brissett comes in. 132 yards receiving. Neither of them have TDs. Neither of them have picks. They do rush for 3 touchdowns. Stevenson has 2 and May has 1. I guess that was before he got hurt. Right? Or was Brissett starting? I don't know. Did he get hurt? No. I think the other guy got hurt. 46 yards for Boot. Receiving leads the way. Hunter Henry, 45 yards. They have the 1 sack. They just win the game. Jets are fucked. They fire their coach. You know, they trade for Adams. It doesn't matter, dude. It wasn't the coach, man. It wasn't the coach. You know. They're just not good. And Aaron Rodgers is obviously older. He's still obviously solid enough, but the Jets have the stink. Like the Broncos have had. The Jets have it even worse. The Broncos have had that stink. Hopefully they break through. Of course, they got the Ravens and the Chiefs coming up on the road, so realistically, they'll lose those games. But they're playing better. The Jets just have that losing culture that is so hard to get rid of. I mean, Denver has had it too now, and Denver just botches a lot of things. The Jets botch things like trades and stuff, but the Jets just have more of a losing culture, even if they have a ton of talent. Denver just doesn't have a ton of talent. Their GM has made a lot of botches. Like the Wilson trade wasn't a botch in my opinion. It was giving him a massive contract. I think before he even played a game with Denver, they signed him to like a massive extension, which was stupid. And then he sucked. He was not good that first year. And last year was actually better. But they weren't going to keep him because Peyton's like, no, I hate you. Falcons beat the Bucks 31-26. Falcons 5-3. Bucks 4-4. Denver's got to play them actually too. It goes Ravens, Chiefs, and Falcons. The Falcons is in Denver, though. Which hopefully at that point is a home field. That's going to be until like kind of later November. Maybe there'll be some snow on the ground for that one. Kirk Cousins, 4 TDs and no picks, 276 yards on 23 of 29 passing. He sacked twice. Robinson, 63 yards rushing. Kyle Pitts, 2 TDs and 91 yards receiving. Mooney, 86 receiving yards and a TD. Robinson has a receiving TD. They have no sacks. A pick by Terrell and Bates III. Tampa, Mayfield, 50 passes. He's been throwing a lot of passes, I feel. 333 yards. 330 yards. 3 TDs, 2 picks. They don't rush the ball. And 22 for 102. Irving leads the way with 44 yards rushing. Otten, 2 receiving TDs. White has a receiving TD. Ott leads the way with 81 yards receiving. Did they not have Godwin or Evans in this game, or did they just not get a catch? White loses a fumble. Bucks are 4-4 now. Who? Oh no, I mean they're still there too, because the Falcons should be in the division lead with 5-3, right? Because the Panthers and the Saints are in that division. Packers beat the Jaguars in a nail biter, 30-27 in Jacksonville. Packers 6-2, Jags 2-6. This was looking like an upset, but the Packers pull it out. They're 6-2, so you got 6-1, 6-2, 5-2. We'll get to the Bears game. They're 4-3 now. Did Love get hurt? Because he's 196 yards, no TDs, and a pick. But then Willis comes in for 56 yards and a TD. Jacobs 127 yards rushing, 2 TDs for the Packers. Kraft leads the way with 78 yards receiving and the TD. They have a lone sack. Oh, McKinney with another pick. They won on the last second field goal, I want to say. Their kicker was 3. Oh, it's Brandon McManus. I forgot, former Bronco. 3 of 3. Field goals. Trevor Lawrence, 2 TDs, a pick, 308 yards for the Jags. Bigsby, 78 yards rushing. Lawrence rushes for a TD. Thomas Jr., 60 yards and a receiving TD. Engram, a receiving TD. Lawrence loses a fumble. They get 1 sack. They get a pick from Jones. Their kicker was 2 of 2. Cam Little. But they're 6-2. They get a close one. As long as you win the games, you should, right? Another tight game that was almost an upset. Texans beat the Colts 23-20 in Houston. Texans are 6-2. Colts are 4-4. This is a game where the quarterback of the Colts, everybody's getting on him for this. Personally, I couldn't give a fuck. He like subbed himself out because he was tired. Which they said the next play was a handoff, so I guess it really wouldn't have mattered. I don't know if he would have known that. But you look at it both ways. He's subbing himself out because he's tired, which is like, why are you so tired? You shouldn't be. Unless he's been getting crushed all game. But then it's like, well, you'd rather have a guy who isn't tired in the game, right? Because if he's tired, he might start shit in the bed. But he doesn't do much. 10 of 32, 175 yards. Richardson, a TD and a pick. He sacked 5 times. Taylor, 105 yards rushing and a TD. So he was sacked a lot, Richardson. Maybe he just didn't want to get sacked anymore. Josh Downs, 109. He does it all. He has 109 yards receiving and a TD out of the 175 yards they had. Richardson loses a fumble. Stroud, 285 yards and a touchdown. He sacked twice. Mixon, 102 yards rushing and a TD. Tank Dell has a receiving TD. Diggs leads the way with 81 yards receiving. Stroud loses a fumble. 2 sacks from Hunter. Number 5 has the pick. Petra. Texans 6-2. They're gonna. That's their division. The Colts are 4-4, but they're not gonna be a threat. Realistically, the Texans are gonna win like 11, 12 games, and kind of not. There's no problem there right now. Chargers beat up on the Saints 26-8. There's a safety in this. This game is weird. It was like 5-2, 9-5, and then Chargers 4-3, Saints 2-6. Saints are done. They have too many injuries. They're done. They can't do anything. They're too hurt. They don't score anymore. They were 2-0 too, I think. Rattler, 156 yards passing, no TDs, no picks, sacked 3 times. And Hayner, 122 yards passing. He sacked twice, no TDs, no picks. Taysom Hill gets in there for a pass. Kamara, 67 yards rushing. The guy whose name, Olave, I can't say it right, I say it wrong, I don't know. 170 yards receiving. They get 3 sacks. They don't do much of anything. Their kicker's 2 or 3. I feel like there's been a decent amount of safeties this year. Herbert has 279 yards. Passing 2 TDs and no picks. He's sacked 3 times. Dobbins, 57 yards rushing and a TD. McConkey, 111 yards. And 2 TDs receiving. They get 5 sacks from 5 different guys. I forgot they have Khalil Mack. He had a sack. Denver's division, the Chiefs are 7-0. Denver's 5-3, and the Chargers are 4-3. So it's not a complete shit show in that division outside of the Chiefs. Bills beat up on the Seahawks 31-10 in Seattle. Bills 6-2, Seahawks 4-4. Wait for this thing to putt along. Josh Allen, 283 yards, 2 TDs, a pick. James Cook, 111 yards rushing and 2 TDs on 17 carries. Shakir, is that how you say his last name? 107 yards receiving. Coleman has a receiving TD. Kincaid has a receiving TD. A pick for Austin Johnson. Geno Smith, 212 yards, no TDs and a pick. They run the ball for 32 yards on 17 carries, with 1 rushing touchdown from Charbonnet. Geno Smith leads the way with 16 yards rushing. Number 11, Jackson Smith. I don't even know how to say that other hyphenated last name. 69 yards receiving. D. Williams loses a fumble. They have a team sack, apparently. It literally says team. What was it? 3 guys? I can't see. 3 guys involved on that. Josh Jobe has a pick. They just get beat up in home, so. The old Broncos beat a team they should. This is a sign of them possibly turning a corner. They lose the Ravens and the Chiefs back-to-back on the road. It's not going to piss me off unless they get utterly annihilated in both games, because they're still not nearly as good as those teams. So, but they beat a team they should beat in Denver. The Panthers are 1-7. Denver's 5-3. They win 28-14. Bryce Young, 2 TDs, 2 picks. He sacked twice, 224 yards. Hubbard, 56 yards rushing to lead the way. They rush for 69 yards as a team. Coker has a receiving TD. Legay, I don't know, has a receiving TD. 2 sacks for Robinson for the Panthers. Bo Nix has his best game. And here's the thing. Like, obviously the Panthers are not a good team. So it's like Bo Nix, here's the thing for a rookie quarterback. You need him to do well against a team like this, because if he shits the bed, you're like, uh-oh, is this guy going to be anything? So he does well against the team he should, which is nice to see. But he has 284 yards, 3 TDs, no picks. He's sacked twice. Cortland Sutton gets in there and throws a pass for 28 yards. As is right, there was some weird stuff going on. Like, players getting pissed. The coaches, Peyton did a fake field goal, I think, at some point. I think somebody did the fake punt, whatever the hell was going on. They rush for a ball for 102 yards. Bo Nix has a rushing touchdown. He has all the touchdowns. 3 passing, 1 rushing. McLaughlin leads the way with 47 yards rushing. Sutton has 100 yards receiving on 8 catches. Troutman has a receiving TD. McLaughlin has a receiving TD. and Atkins has a receiving TD. Humphrey and Sutton both lose fumbles. Cooper has a sack. Surtain and McMillan have picks. Surtain is back. Yeah, Dixon's the punter, so. Oh, it was a fake field goal then, probably because he's the holder. Yeah, like I said, it's just a game, kind of. Denver's 5-3. The first time they've been 5-3 in since 2016, the year after their Super Bowl. So last Super Bowl. So you take what you can get, right? I want to see him finish over 500, just as a fan, a casual fan these days. I just kind of want to see him finish over 500. Chiefs beat the Raiders 27-20. It's not going easy in a lot of ways for the Chiefs this year, but they're 7-0. Raiders 2-6. They're the last undefeated team. They have a pretty. I'm not even going to consider Denver tough games for them. Maybe at home it could be a little tough. In Denver, I mean, they got to play the Bills on the road. That's going to probably be their shot for a loss. I forget who else they might play. Because they've already beaten Atlanta, right? No, they play Atlanta. Yes. They do play that division. They're in Denver's division, so they've already beaten Atlanta. I don't know if they played Tampa yet. Mahomes 2 TDs a pick, 262 yards. Hunt 59 yards rushing and a TD. Kelsey and Worthy have receiving TDs with Kelsey 90 yards receiving. They get 5 sacks from 5 different players. No picks. Minshew 2 TDs, no picks. He's sacked 5 times though, 209 yards. They 21 of 33 rushing. Saints have an excellent defense, and they have the best rushing D in the league. Turner and Myers have receiving TDs for the Raiders, with Bowers, the tight end, leading the way with 58 yards. Minshew loses a fumble. Moring has the pick. So Chiefs are 7-0. Raiders are 2-6. Raiders are the bottom feeder in the division at the moment. They are. Who's next? I think that was the last Sunday game. Well, the last one that ended, maybe. No, there's another one here. Commanders beat the Bears 18-15 on a Hail Mary at the end. I watched this one. They botched it. I talk about it in the video going up tomorrow, too. There was nobody in the end zone. There was just a Redskin, a Commander player, in the end zone. Chilling, it got batted. The guy who batted it was a guy who was taunting the fans right before, like during the beginning of the Hail Mary, he was taunting the fans. Then he runs over, bats the ball right into the dude's hand behind him. Nobody was in the end zone. You always have a guy in the end zone, and no one was there except the receiver for the Commanders. But where was that? Where'd it go? Oh no, what'd I do? I went to the wrong week. No. I don't know what just happened there. More time going by. Where are they? It was 18-15. Oh my god, I keep hitting the wrong button. Oh. Week 8. We'll get there. There we go. 18-15. Commanders 6-2. Bears 4-3. Trying to go to the box score. It's not responding. Ugh. Technology, right? I don't know if the internet's pumping along too. Caleb Williams, 10-24, 131 yards, no TDs, no picks. Sacked twice. Swift has 129 yards, rushing and a TD. Number 15 leads the way. Adunze, 41 yards receiving. Williams loses a fumble. So they got TD, and then I got to get 2-point conversion on second TD. Oh, yeah, because Johnson also had a rushing TD. They get 2 sacks on Jaden Daniels. He's 326 yards TD, no picks. 65 yards rushing for Robinson Jr. McLaurin for 125 yards receiving. Noah Brown has that receiving TD at the end. Just a low-scoring affair. Because the Bears came back in this one. And then, yeah, it was just everybody was bunched together. Other guys just like, oh, look, tipped right to me. Oof. It's a bad loss for the Bears, because especially in that division, you don't want to be dropping far behind. Because now all of a sudden you're 4-3. Packers, Vikings have 2 losses. Lions have 1, and you got to play. I don't think they've played any of those teams yet, so you got to win those games. But Washington is 6-2 now. They're leading the division. No, wait, they're tied with the Eagles. 49ers beat the Cowboys on Sunday Night Football, 30-24. Cowboys 3-4, 49ers 4-4. The Cowboys are getting beaten up. They were winning at the half, I believe, and then 49ers had a big third quarter. The Cowboys do what they do. They get some touchdowns in the fourth, and it's not enough. Prescott 2 TDs, 2 picks, 243 yards. Elliott 34 yards rushing and a TD. Lamb, a hell of a game, 13 catches, 146 yards, 2 TDs. It's the Cowboys. They'll win next week big, probably, and they'll be this way the whole way. Purdy, 260 yards and a TD, no picks. Number 31, 85 yards rushing. So once again, they have 223 yards rushing as a team. Once again, they're aligned. They're going to run the ball like crazy. Them and the Ravens. Purdy has a rushing touchdown. Kittle, 128 yards receiving and a TD. Deebo Samuel, the senior, has 71 yards receiving, sorry. Tight division. The 49ers aren't necessarily playing great, but they're 4-4. They're tied for the division lead. With that division could go to anybody. Obviously, I think the divisional games there are going to decide the division. I'll say we'll end in ties. And then Monday Night Football. This game was a stinker for a bit. Yeah, it was 9-9 at the half. Giants Steelers. Steelers win 26-18. They go to 6-2. Giants are 2-6. Problem is Denver's got to play the Ravens next week after the Ravens lose to the Browns, so the Ravens are going to be pissed. Denver's going to get steamrolled. Jones, 264 yards passing, no TDs, a pick. He sacked 4 times. Tracy Jr., 145 yards rushing and a TD. Slayton, 108 yards receiving for the Giants, leads the way. Jones loses a fumble. They get 4 sacks. Giants, I think, to lead the league in sacks. Number 51 has 2 of them. Steelers, Russell Wilson, 278 yards. A TD, no picks. He sacked 4 times. Harris, 114 yards rushing. Pickens leads the way, 74 yards receiving. Austin III. So Austin III has a receiving TD. Russell Wilson loses a fumble. Watt has 2 sacks. Highsmith has 2 sacks. Bishop Jr. has a pick. So Austin III has a receiving TD and a punt return TD. So nice little game for him. Steelers, a quiet 6-2 still. They were concerned about the QB position. Now they really have 2 solid QBs, so. And that's why the Ravens, it's going to be a tight run between those two. Have they played each other yet? Steelers and Ravens? Oh. Well, let's look at the games coming up. Real quickly, come on. Week 9, who do we, like I said, Baltimore, Denver's playing Baltimore. It's going to be realistically a loss. Week 9, no, you don't want to behave. Alright, doesn't want to behave. There we go. Ooh, Jets and Texans on Thursday Night Football. Cowboys got the Falcons. Dolphins, Bills, so we got a game there. I don't know. Bears, Cardinals. Oh, Packers, Lions. There you go. Vikings got the Colts. Bucks and the Chiefs do. All right, so they haven't played them yet. They play on Monday night in KC. KC's going to win that game. But yeah, another week in the books for the NFL. Some upsets this week. We'll see what next week holds. And thanks for checking us out. And have a good day.